Welcome to the Roy Rundown, a podcast designed to share insights and secrets from top experts in the college sports landscape, guiding you along your own path to success. Join us in real time as we build Roy, dive into the latest NIL trends, and uncover stories from the movers and shakers in the sports business space. You'll hear from an all-star lineup of guests, including athletes, coaches, agents, fans, athletic administrators, and more. Whether you're a student athlete, passionate fan, or anyone in between, this is your go-to resource for leveling up in the new age of college sports.
Welcome back to the Roy Rundown. Today we've got another game-changing college athlete joining us, known for his electric and record-breaking play on the field. Some have even said that he's a cheat code for college football, and more importantly, known as a leader in the community, running back for the University of Tennessee, Dylan Sampson. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I'll give you a minute here just to share with the audience. Obviously, people know that you're pretty good at football and the season that you guys have had. But what about growing up? Talk a little bit about growing up and getting involved with football when it came into your life, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My whole family is from like a small town in central Louisiana. I'm a real family man, very, very close knit. It's a big impact on who I am as a person today. But yeah, just, growing up in a place like Baton Rouge, it inspired me to do, and I'm passionate for a lot of things I am about today, which is, kind of helping change the world, make it a better place. But I started playing football when I was about in third grade, really just because my brothers played, and I just wanted to be like them. But, shortly, I played football that one year. I didn't play again until seventh grade. So, I used to tell people all the time that I was playing football when I was in like elementary school, but I was lying. I was not playing football. I was just, I just wanted to feel like, I was. But I took that long of a break from it. But, one thing led to another. I ended up playing football again, and, now I'm here.
So what was the break for? You just didn't love the game at that point, or?
It was just like, I feel like it was something I was trying out for. I actually got into track and field in like summer track when I was in sixth grade or going into sixth grade. So I was really just running track, but I would say that's why I learned like my competitive spirit. And, that's why I met one of my first like kind of big brother mentors. That taught me a lot about, fierce competition. And it's kind of reason why I'm an athlete I am today. But I eventually picked up football again.
For sure. No, I was just curious. People forget like third grade is really young. Pre-high school, everyone did every sport, everyone did everything, and just trying to figure out what they love. So cool. Well, I guess fast forward then. So you picked it back up in seventh grade and into high school. Obviously, you started loving the game again and realizing you were pretty good. So I'm always curious, is there a point in your mind that you remember that you were like, okay, I'm ready to play at the next level, or I'm that good enough to play at the next level?
I guess I would say my whole journey playing football, it was like, I guess I wasn't the typical person always thinking about the next level. I'm like, if you know me, I'm such a in the moment type of person. Not to say that I'm not ready for the future or I don't plan or I don't have a plan, but I'm so big on enjoying the moment and like just taking care of business there. So like when I got to high school, I was just playing ball. Like it was like, okay, I good, got moved up to varsity. But I guess I realized that not necessarily that I was good enough, but that this is a possibility, that this is actually a reality for my futures when I got my first offer in my sophomore year. It was to Nicholls State University, but then a week later, Tennessee offered me. And I'm like, okay, like this is a reality, So then it all clicked, that this could possibly be the next step in my life.
So Tennessee, excuse me. So Tennessee got in early. Talk to me about the recruiting process. I I think I mentioned before, so I played college basketball, but I was a walk-on. So as much as I like to think I have a good shot and I'm nice, I didn't get recruited. And so like,
Yeah.
I hear the stories and everybody hears the recruiting stories, but, being a 4-star, which I believe you were, you're at the end of the day, it's just a label. Being really good at football and having an offer from a high major school as a sophomore, like that's big time. So tell me about that process and like, what was important to you along those couple of years to figure out where you wanted to play at the next level.
Yeah, so that process was weird, especially when COVID came into the mix. But it was a blessing nonetheless. I started getting interest from schools. I took like a junior day visit when I was a sophomore at LSU. It was like right before COVID came and everything shut down. But once I got the offer from Tennessee, it was like I was starting to get excited about what could possibly come, but it was weird, it kind of went a while until I got my next offer. But then it kind of started to pick up going into my junior season for real. But I mean, recruitment, it was just kind of all over the place. Like you had to do Zooms because you couldn't visit for me because of COVID. So I was doing Zooms like with my family, like every other day with this school, and it'd be like an hour long, like, because they trying to tell you all the great parts of their school.
Right.
And stuff like that. But I mean, it was helpful when we finally was able to the summer of my junior year take some official visits. But it's actually funny though that I told my parents I would never go to the University of Tennessee. Yeah.
That's
I told
funny.
them it was just the nature of my recruitment at the time. Previously they were under a different staff, and our connection just wasn't that strong. Like I had an offer from them, but I didn't feel like I was really high on their board for real. But, we just never really built that connection. And obviously they had a lot of things going on outside of their building, a lot of problems they ran into. So like, I mean, I told my parents, I don't feel like this is the place where I could grow into the young man and athlete that I need to, be. So nonetheless, it was an SEC school. Like my favorite player went here, Alvin Kamara. I was like, I can't do it. I can't go to this school. Like, I don't think it'll be the best fit for me. So like they were completely out of my mix. But, Coach Heupel came. I mean, he offered me at UCF, came here, and just really showed the genuineness. He probably was the head coach who talked to me the most out of any other head coaches. Like he would FaceTime like probably once or twice a week. And that's hard to do as a head coach. You got, trust me, now that I'm in the building, knowing how much that he does, like it's impressive the time that he makes to talk to the recruits because, it does take a lot of time to do that. But I mean, recruiting was crazy. I committed on my visit, on my official visit, basically really holding a spot. I committed to hold the spot for real because they had one spot and they really wanted me. So like I committed knowing that I wasn't signing my name yet, but I trusted in the vision and the future of this program that Coach Heupel was building. So I committed to this program before they even played a game under Coach Heupel.
Wow. Yeah, but that speaks a lot to obviously the coaching staff, but it also speaks to the recruiting kind of landscape. You said, you didn't feel like you were high enough on the board, and that was the previous staff. And I mean, that's important. Again, that speaks to, I guess, how heavily weighted understanding where the team's priorities are, right? And like, because the recruiting process is coaches and schools telling you a lot of things, which not all of it's lies, but you have to kind of discern what's real and like what's not, right? So that was one piece. But I want to get to another piece now too, is obviously, the people matter and trusting them, but so does the campus and so do the fans and so does the culture. So let's shift gears here and talk about Tennessee for people who are listening, who might not be as familiar with, Vol Nation and what campus is like. Just give a little rundown of what it's like.
Yeah. So I had no idea, like, how big Knoxville was when I visited. I really just flew here, came to campus, and, that's kind of, pretty much all I saw. Stayed downtown pretty much the whole time. But you talk about the campus in general, it's pretty. You could just stay here and love it on campus. But it's in the heart of downtown Knox. But once I got here, I realized how nice and how many different surrounding cities and stuff is around Knoxville. But I mean, even if you're not a Vol football fan, like people take trips to the mountains all the time in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. That's literally 40 minutes down the road. Like I could drive there on the weekend if I wanted to. So I mean, just to be surrounded by, so many, different, close cities. And I mean, Atlanta's not too far. Like, we got a lot of people on the team from Georgia. It's really not that far. But I would just describe it as it's not too big and not too small. Like, if you think in terms of SEC college towns, SEC schools, like, this is probably one of the better just cities of them. There's an actual downtown. You could go have fun if you want to, but you could also duck off if you want to. So life is just, I would just say chill.
Yeah, I feel like that fits you. You said you're an outdoorsman too, so the geography is a nice fit for you. But we'll get into that in a little bit here. But let's keep on the topic of fans for a second and talk about the fans and like the actual game environment, and how much fans like really impact you, because obviously it's easy to see on TV at any college football or pro sport game, fans going nuts. But I imagine being there on the field, getting a handoff with fans screaming is a whole different experience. So walk me through that.
Yeah. So, I mean, every time hits the same. Like, you got Vol Walk. Vol Walk is, unlike anything. You stop the buses and just, it's like a sea of orange. And we take the path down, Peyton Manning, the street, and, you go to the locker room and it's just, all the fans just cheering and supporting, no matter how early the game is or who we playing. So it's like they're packed out outside of the stadium, like just watching us walk into the stadium. That just shows how excited, everybody is. But, as soon as we get in the stadium, there's 30 minutes roll by and it just starts filling up. And like, before you know it, there's 100 and something thousand people just in these stands, like cheering us on, and it makes it hard for people to play here. It really does. But, passionate fan base, I think we have the best fan base, in college football.
And you talked about the fans like during the games, but let's talk about for a second just like the love in the community. I saw a clip. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I saw a clip of a fan. I think he did some sort of dance that you did in the end zone or something like that, and he posted it on social media. Like, talk about just like what it means to interact with fans outside of like game environment. Because that was awesome.
Yeah, that was man, the kid even got like a news interview.
I saw.
Yeah, he got a news interview. Really, he was inspired by me, just me having fun on the field. But, anytime you get a chance to, interact with, people who support you so much. But for me, even so, it's like the kids. And they're just so excited, to see you and just like, just even have a little, piece of your time. Like some people would even ask for a little like rubber band off my hand, like if I give it to them. But it just shows you how much of an impact that you have, and you have to use that the right way. But I definitely don't take that for granted.
For sure. All right, so we talked about fans a lot. We'll talk about them shortly as it relates to NIL. But I want to talk football for 1 sec. I'm sure we could talk hours for football, but obviously the season that you're having, coming off single season rushing record, you got all sorts of. I thought I saw today it was that you're a player of the year in some USA Today, SEC, but you got all these awards coming. So talk about what that means to you. I know you're a big team guy, but at the same time, like I think these awards are earned, right? It's because of the production that you are able to do on the field.
Yeah, it's like you said, it goes hand in hand. Like, we all have to do our part, for any one of us to have this kind of success that we're having, But I think the attention to detail I took this offseason, kind of understanding the role that I would, be kind of into, kind of having the most experience in this running back room, just getting everything right, from my body to my mindset, knowledge of the game, just putting me in the best position to make the most out of this role. So, week in, week out is a challenge, playing in this conference, there's no games you can take off, like body is hurting, like some of what people would label some of the worst teams in the SEC could, give you a fight to the fourth quarter. That's just the nature and identity of this league. So it just starts about, being sharp, each week is a new week. But, kudos to all my teammates, my offensive line, receivers around me. We all do our part. And, they're just as responsible, for me having the season as I am.
Yeah, no, that's That's humble, but obviously I know the awards are definitely earned. So I'm sure we could talk football for hours, but I want to transition a little bit into NIL because NIL is reality, and I know that there's it's headlines everywhere, NIL this, NIL that, but it's the reality. It's the reality of college sports now, and it's it's a time where obviously we all know that college sports are fueled by passionate fans and how big the business is, but for the first time and forever, athletes can now have a little piece of the pie that at least a little piece so far that they deserve.
Yeah.
And so just, I guess to start, can you just share your experience with, NIL and like how NIL has affected you, obviously, since you came out of high school, but how NIL impacts you personally? Yeah. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. A lot of people would first think NIL and think about just, just money, but there's so much things you could do with it and so much more you could, benefit from it if you progressive and you handle it the right way. But I mean, just for starters, it's been impactful for me just mainly, I don't really buy a lot of stuff and I don't spend a lot of money, but my family, we're from Louisiana. Like they're not driving every game to come up and see me, So, I mean, the best way for them to commute here is flights, So having some kind of NIL money to help that out, it's kind of helped me to help my parents get flights, so they could come watch, their son play. And, that could take a toll, like flights are expensive and stuff like that. But a lot of athletes just kind of want to help their family who kind of, help them out for, so many years, and everybody's family dynamics are different. And what people do with their money is, that's their own issue, but like you said, NIL is here. But if you talk about further and things you can do with it, like it doesn't always have to be money. Like one of my teammates, Boo McCoy, has he gives out AEDs, like or a heart, something with the hearts, so like for every touchdown or something like that, like just partnering up and helping the community, like that's something that's impactful to him. So he's helping out a health cause through NIL, things you can interact with different people and the levels you can reach. It hasn't even been kind of, hit the scratch the surface on the impact you can have with it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the family and having them come to your games. I feel like that's not talked about a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of negatives in NIL, but there's so many positives, so many impacts, and for you to be able to bring your family out, that's huge. And not a lot of people talk about that. But to connect the two now, obviously we talked a lot about fans before, and then NIL in general. Let's talk about Roy for a second, and obviously fans in the NIL world now can. It's not something where fans have to now pay more money. No, it's an opportunity that fans can, feel more impactful to the teams and the players they love. And so, I just want to get your thoughts on, like your general thoughts on Roy and what you liked about Roy so far.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you said, it gives an opportunity for the supporters and people who love their teams and fan bases so much to one, feel and get more connected, with the teams, with the players, learn more about the players, but actually have a direct impact, with the players, so like, it might give an opportunity for someone who feel like they have no way to contribute because they may not be like a big booster or donor, but like every little thing matters, so, any little cause, anything is felt, and that's a little more connection that they're building. And you're talking about from athletic side, the athlete's point of view, I mean, it's really just helping the athlete, giving more opportunity, putting a little extra dollars in their pocket if you want to look at it like that. But you also give an athlete a chance to tell their story, who some people want so eagerly to talk about, because it's always just football. And this game, it's so different from everything else. We wear helmets. Nobody knows us outside of the helmets. You can look at a basketball player and recognize them, all day because you see them. But, some people will really not know you because all they see you is in that helmet. So for one, this app, this platform just gives you somewhere to just be yourself. And, also thank the people who are supporting you and are a big reason why you come to that university.
For sure. I mean, you hit a lot of points in the head there, but one too is connecting our discussion before is like it's not just transactional because you're involved a lot with the community. You mentioned your teammate who donates AEDs for certain stats or touchdowns. It's for fans. It gives fans an opportunity to actually support what you support,
Yeah.
right? And so that's huge. But yeah, well, again, I'm sure we could talk NIL all day. But I want to get a little bit as we wrap up into a conversation about Dylan Sampson off the field because, like I said, everybody knows Dylan Sampson with the helmet and breaking records and getting wins and Ball Nation. But what about Dylan Sampson off the field? I know you're an outdoorsman. You talked about music. You got some cool posters behind you. You
Yeah.
play the guitar. Like, talk about yourself outside of football for a second.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, growing up in Louisiana is a big reason who I am today. I grew up outside, running around outside. Me and my cousins, when I was, at my cousin's house, we got horses, and we had to go feed the horses, pick up the hay, get the horse feed. I just grew up outside, doing stuff like that. So, I mean, I would say I know a good bit of who I am without football. I enjoy music. I'm the type of person who will skip over the interstate just to ride on back roads and, roll the windows down. But yeah, I play the guitar. I kind of got intrigued when I was younger. One of my uncles, my mom's oldest brothers, he had a couple guitars, and we would go to his trailer, and he had about 3 of them, and we just mess around. And I kind of picked back up on it, when I got to college. But some people play the game. I play the guitar, like in my free time. But I think everything I do has a meaning too. These artwork I have behind me. Tupac is one of my just biggest influences. This right here has a deep meaning for me that I conjured in my mind for myself. But that's just me, as a person. I feel like I'm easygoing, easy to talk to, and just like the vibes for real.
That's great. That's great. So as we wrap up, what advice would you give to a listener if there's a younger athlete listening that wants to, be where you are right now and have accomplished what you've accomplished so far? What piece of advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I just say patience, man. Like, I think in this day and age, that's what a lot of the athletes coming out of high school don't have enough of. It's kind of sad to see. It is because college football is changing, and things are changing for the good. But I don't want young athletes to put themselves in bad positions, just chasing dollars in an instance. NIL is here, and you coming out of high school, you'll have an opportunity somewhere along the line. But just think further than that. Some of the best things are worth waiting for. Like everything doesn't have to be, so upfront. Doesn't have to sound the best to you so upfront. But like, actually take time to dive into the details. Think about if you are getting recruited, the places that are interested in you, like who fits you the best. Like where can you grow the best. Things like that. Just actually think about your future and, not just what, how much or like what can you benefit from at this moment, and some of the best things is worth waiting for, so that's my advice.
That's elite advice, man. It's a double-edged sword. Obviously, things are changing for the better, but I've noticed a lot of instant gratification lately, and so, like you said, patience is necessary. So, well, the official last thing I have for you is called the Roy Rundown Rapid Fire. I'm gonna hit you with some questions, and you gotta answer the first thing that comes to your mind. All right?
All right, bet.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
If you had to play a sport other than the one that you're playing right now, what would it be?
Track.
If you could have a dream NIL deal, what company is the first one that comes to your mind?
Reese's.
Who's the funniest person on the team?
Oh, shoot. Omar Norman Lott. That's boy funny.
If you could trade places with anyone in the world and live 1 year in their shoes, who would it be with?
Nobody. I just want to be me. I'm not gonna lie. I just want to be me.
Love it. What is one of your biggest strengths?
I say my spirit.
Who is one of the first people to really believe in you?
My brothers.
What's one of your biggest fears?
I fear God.
And last one, what's one piece of advice that you wish you can give your younger self if you went back 5 or 10 years ago?
You know, I wouldn't change a thing. I'd just say enjoy everything, because moments go by fast. So just enjoy the moment.
I love it. Awesome, man. Well, we really appreciate you taking your time. It's been fun to follow you so far. We know you got a lot more success coming your way, and you got a lot of fans over here at Roy's. So we're rooting for you and excited to work with you and follow the next several years of your career.
Yeah, thank you for having me.